What I wanted to do, I know that all of you, or some of you, have hacks on your own. So what I wanted to do is basically ask you to tell us. It's kind of a lightning talks, and you're the audience, but you're also becoming the guest speakers. So the idea here is just like you ask your questions before. I would like to see if any one of you want to share any of your hacks. And it could be very simple. It could be anything from how to properly tie a shoe. And I know that some of us already prepared those hacks. So do we have anybody who wants to start? And in the meantime, I'm going to set my computer. Right there, John. John wants to show us a hack.
Hello. Okay, I've actually got 3 hacks, quick ones. So I'm a big fan of breakfast, and one of my favorite breakfasts are breakfast sandwiches with English muffins. And so I love making those, but the egg always spills out of the English muffin. And McDonald's makes the perfect round egg, so I bought myself a jumbo-sized muffin tin, and you just crack your eggs into that, you bake your eggs in the oven, and you've got your perfect round eggs for your English muffin sandwiches. I'm also a big fan of the outdoors. I love to go canoeing, but I don't have a truck and I don't have a roof rack. So what I did was I got myself a couple pool noodles. I put a slit in them lengthwise, put those on the edge of the canoe, flipped it onto the roof of my car, and just strapped it to the roof of my car, and I've used that many, many times.
All right.
One more. I've got a kind of a show and tell for this one. So I am the videographer and photographer here at Vendasta. So photography is a big part of my world, and it might be a part of some of yours. And some of the accessories for photography can get very pricey. This here is a slave flash, and I use it when I'm doing studio. For example, taking the portraits here at Vendasta. And what I found I needed several years ago now was something to modify the light to really focus it, because it shoots it kind of a broad shot. And those are called snoots. It's a specific light modifier called a snoot, and they can run up over $200. And it's just such a simple thing. What I did instead, so it's the same light, and I just grabbed a Pringles can and I taped it onto the light, and it's my snoot, and it works perfectly. That's it.
All right.
So, Google G Suite is productivity collaboration tools which connects people wherever they are. It's really a platform, including Google Home, my assistant, that I was presenting today. So, the first hack that I wanted to share with you is the fact that you can share stuff on Google platform. And actually, let's go back. Let's start with email. This is where my first step. So many of you already have Gmail, which is nothing revolutionary about it. You have your Gmail account. But here's a hack that you may not know that it actually exists. Here in Vendasta, we use it quite a bit. But why not set up a group for your family? So if you go to groups.google.com and set up a group, in which I created, my last name is Wolinski, so I created a group at googlegroups.com. You essentially set up one email address where you can add all your
everybody in your family. So once you created your emails, you can add it to this Gmail group. And when you send emails to everyone, you just send it to one address, and everybody gets it automatically. You don't have to think about who to CC, who to add to your email address. Everybody gets it, and this is how you communicate. Moreover, you can actually go to an interface where you can visit all the talks and discussions that are happening. So set one up for your family. Set one up for yourself. It's a great way of sharing emails, but also going back and seeing the history of who's sharing the information. The very next aspect of Google Docs is the fact that it can be shared. It's unlike Google, like Word documents. Right now it's changing with Gmail and the Office in the cloud, but in the past you used to have different document spreadsheets that you had to send out through email, and then somebody made revisions and they go back and then you had to sort of rename documents. This is the previous one, and then you go by dates. The power of Google platform is the fact that there's only one document. And once you make the changes to that document, everybody sees just one document. So, and then you can share it with everyone. And then another really powerful thing about Google Docs is that you only share with people that you want to share. So here is your family. You have your people in your group, and then you share just those documents and calendars and everything else with your group. Now, the calendars, documents, everything, they exist all over the place. So one of the things, the next hack that I want to show you is how to set up a Google site. I don't know if many of you might not know this, but there are many templates for what is called a Google site. It's really an intranet, and there's different templates. There are intranets for your teams. There is sports teams. There are the intranets for business, but there's many templates for your family. So with a couple of clicks, you can create kind of an intranet where's the place, and then share it with your family. And this is the place where they can discover everything else that you have in the cloud. So kind of a one place where your family can go to and share things. So as you can see is the comment. In fact, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually showing you my personal intranet, which I use at home. And this presentation is, I specifically not show this on a full screen, is because it's in one of my sections in my own personal intranet. So let's move on with some of the hacks. Calendars. So here's the thing about calendars, and again, some of this thing is there are obvious, but if you bring it all together, they become very, very powerful. So powerful thing about Google calendar is that you can bring not only yours, but many different calendars. So what I've done here is I brought in my work calendar, which is the first one, which is important. But also what I have is Isabella's, my daughter, who sits right there. It's a calendar that's just only designated to her, and I shared it with my mom and with my ex-spouse, and this is where we actually communicate. In fact, we don't even have to send emails when there's events that Isabella has, different trips or who's Isabella is with, and it's just a calendar designated to her. It's in one place I can really go and check it out. Another calendar that is really cool is because of the iCal standard format. Many of the organizations are starting to use. You can import to Google Calendar, and here's an example of my soccer team that I could just bring my calendar and see all the games. I don't really have to go and then ask the organizer, the coach, when the games are. The games are already entered by someone else. I put it in, and I put it right in my intranet. Now, there are many other calendars that you could import in Google. So one of them, for example, is holidays. So this is Canadian holidays. Again, you don't have to ask whether you have a stat holiday or not. There is a calendar for that. In fact, Google has many different interesting calendars. And if you browse enough, you can find pretty much everything. Hebrew calendar, day of the year, you can find out which day in sequence. There is sports calendars, there's favorite sports teams, and when they have the games. So basically, what you get with the Google Calendar is just a frame, and for the calendar, and then sort of you pick and choose what you want to do and then what you want to share with your family, different calendars on top of that. So I encourage you to use that if you already don't. So Google Calendar. Next hack, let's see what I have here. Gather feedback. This is probably my favorite functionality of Google platform is Google Forms, and it's so easy to create. It's just crazy. And what Google Forms is, it's essentially what they sound like. You can create a Google form with whatever fields you want. You can send it out to your family, to your friends, and instantly gather feedback. Once they get it, they fill out for a few a few fields, and they instantly gather feedback. So instead of basically calling them, texting them, sending emails, and then once you send an email, like how do you get the information back into one place? You have to go and search your subjects. Here you send out one form, and then you get all the information back in one place. In fact, I know of a project of a person who is doing a family tree, sort of history of his family, and in order to gather feedback from all his family, he set up a group. He put all the people that he knew that were in his family. He created a form with few fields, the questions that he wanted to ask, who are your parents and things like that, and then sort of send it out to entire family wherever they were, and got all the feedback. And this is how information was in one place where he could later review and then massage it the way he wanted. Now I use forms a little bit differently, and I've been using them for quite some time, and here's one of the examples that I do. When my daughter was growing up, she started she talked for the very first time, and as you know, kids say darnest things, and when the kids do say darnest things, you can take a picture and you have the picture, but you don't have the context. And sometimes somebody say, well, you remember when she was this age, she said something funny, and there is one or two instances. What I did was I created quite a few years back, I created kind of a small blog. It's sort of like almost like a Twitter, but it's internally for the family, and I call it Things That Bella Says, and it's just one field that we enter, and I shared it with all my family, and sort of we have it on the phone, we have it on different it could be on a computer, and whenever Bella was saying things that were funny, we were kind of entering. So if I can show you right here, it goes back to, I think, 2011, where I have a lot of information. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this information. Probably this is going to play, it's a lot of information that I can use either at her 16th birthday or maybe her wedding at some point, but that information is there. So so here's some of them. One of the things that I was gonna dig back when she was 5 years old. So Isabella was 5 years old, and Daddy, which is me, no, actually Bella starts, Daddy, can you get wood today? And she meant lumber. Daddy, what do you need wood for? Bella, to make lemonade stand. And Daddy says, well, I have to find out how to make one. Bella, just go to the internet and spell how to make a lemonade stand. So she was 5 back then. It might seem not funny, but once the time passes on, it's nice to go back to things. So in fact, I have quite a few forms like that, and the forms are here, which I collect data, and I'm kind of crazy about collecting data and about different things. So I don't know if I want to show you, but I do collect data about my weight. So this is my weight since probably 9 years ago. So I want to. It shows how my weight fluctuates. Fuel consumption. This is a crazy one. Since 2009, I have every time I fueled in every single car that I own or a motorcycle, I have it in a database. I collect information, which is probably I can show you right here. And I also have data how much the gas cost at that time. So 2009. And I already converted into the mileage, even US mileage, and which vehicle and how much I paid for it. Sort of that goes a little bit lower here. So there's some interesting data that I can sort of look at. But yes, so another one which I kind of use is purchase log. So this is something that Eric was mentioning. Your purchasing patterns. Virtually anything that I buy, as soon as I buy it, I put it in my Google form and categorize it. And the information automatically goes to a spreadsheet. So I can categorize it at which card I bought it on, what type, if it's groceries, if it's for myself, if it's for Isabella, And I also have this Isabella for information, everything that I purchase. Now, you can use sites like Mint, but I found Mint not to be very accurate, especially the things that I want to categorize. You know, if I'm really into something, it's hard to categorize it in Mint. Okay, I'm going to move on a little bit quicker. So let's go back to my presentation. So gathering feedback. Use your forms. It's very easy to use. Go to again forms, actually drive.google.com, and in Drive this is your storage place essentially where you can create your forms, and the form creates a spreadsheet where the data goes to. The next one is store family data. So here's where we get to get a concept of a kind of a bank, and this is how I like to see the Google Suite. It's sort of like a bank, and it's bank for a little bit more than just the money. It's bank for your information. And as you can imagine, these days the information about your family is quite valuable for all the marketers out there. So what you want to do is, first of all, you want to know how to contain that information and how to control it, and how to store it. So my last slide, or second last slide, is about security. And because this platform is very, very secure, you are able to store information which is sensitive. And if you're aware that this is the fact and where the place is, you can store your family data in a place where it's secure, and then you can share it with only the people that you want to share. So one of the examples that I want to show you is information like this. I would scan my passport and enter into Google Drive, which is a storage. And not only that, but you know, credit cards and things like that, they're securely stored in on my Drive. And if anything happens during the travel, instead of sort of going and asking people to send you information, I can have this information right there. So another example would be the passwords. Here's just an example. So I'm not going to show you my passwords, but you know, one of the hacks that I can tell you is it's a simple spreadsheet. You could and if you want to, you can store your password for your website, for your Facebook, Google, or any other sites. You can store it here. Now, couple tips. Never call passwords wherever you are, because if hackers are looking for keyword passwords. And so as you can see, actually I'm calling it my words, just to be sort of different. Now another kind of a hack that I want to tell you is the security of your password. So I'm going to tell you something that probably might shock you, but I can tell you that the reason why I didn't hack your password or any part of your password in this room is because I don't want to. You're not interesting to me. There's too many people out there that I can hack passwords, and believe me, I can. It's actually not that hard to retrieve your password if somebody puts their mind to it. You know, we're in tech. Most of us are software developers. It's very easy to actually come up with ways to get into, and the difficulty of the password, the more difficult the password is, it's actually easier to get to, because you are starting to record this password as well. You know, I cannot remember, so I'm going to write it down. I'm going to put it on the desk. But one of probably the easiest ways to hack your password is to install some sort of keylogger on your computer. And in this case, no matter how complicated your password is, how many letters it has, essentially the hacker retrieves the information of your keys that they logged, and they have this information for you know, to log into your accounts. So, and to install kind of a program that's kind of lives on your computer, it's much easier than you think, and it doesn't look like there's a huge hack attack. So there's many different ways, and the only way that probably the reason why the people are not hacking is because you're not interested in that, but it's easy to do. So so I'm going to show you how Google platform in a second, how kind of you could prevent this. But one of the things when you want to actually record your password, this is what I've done here, is use a phrase that you can remember. So for example, simple things, morning breakfast 77. And when you record, you type in that password, never type in the entire word. Use the first letter and the last letter So you know your phrase, you're familiar with this. The phrase is in your head, it's in your brain. It's very hard to hack your brain. And then so you know the first letter and last letter, and then all the mark out with X's, all the letters in between. So that way you only know what the passwords are rather than the things. Even if somebody hacks this spreadsheets and looks at this passwords, they see only X's and you only know what the password is. But if you want to remember, you can say, okay, morning breakfast. Okay, well, morning breakfast. That's what it should be, and you know, with a couple more letters. So here's that's a hack. Now I'm going to go into security. So one of the things that everyone should consider, and it's so easy to do, and Google Platform provides this, is two-factor verification. So I didn't bring it with me, but commercial banks, they give you this fob that when you want to log in and when you want to make transfers, you essentially you log in, you use your password, and then you can kind of enter this code which changes every few seconds, and there's an algorithm that sort of matches that. It's things. So this is commercial use, and those things I would assume they're pretty expensive because they're not handing out to everyone else. But Google Platform, what you can do is you can buy YubiKeys, which is basically a key which you plug into your computer on the side to your USB, and you authenticate only this particular machine. So basically you do two-step verification. You enter your username, you enter your password, but what Google also asks you is enter your key. And if you don't have that key, even you have the password, you are not able to log in. So and there's other ways to do it. Though this key is about $52 to $80, so it is expensive. But if your security is important to you, it should be. I think it's a great way of kind of securing your data, especially if you store your password, especially if you store your passport information on your platform. But there's easier way too. The phone is very, very secure. The phone number on your mobile phone, it only belongs to you. So another way of doing it is say enter your username, your password, and then Google says we're going to send you a text to your phone, which can only get to your phone, and then you enter that code from the text message into the Google, and Google says, okay, I know where that is you because I sent you this message. So so please, if you have Google Gmail, please set this up, you know, today, tomorrow, because it will might save you from people that might want to hack your password. In fact, I think Tim, we were at one of the seminars with Fortinet, and the rep who came in, he was showing us all this technology, and they used something similar for keys. And essentially, basically, what he was doing the demonstration, he was showing us his passwords, because he said, look, the passwords are not that secure. It's like, I don't care if you see my password. You know what really matters if you have that second step verification, because that's what's important. So yeah, be secure now. Now the last hack that I want to tell you, you know, it's something that Google doesn't pay me, but but I'm going to give a plug. All this is kind of you can do without any big computers, and in fact Google released what they call it Chrome OS. You can use Chrome on any of the computers, Mac PC, but you don't have to do that. You can buy a device like this, which is a 2 gig computer, which is just OS X. Great device for kids, and this is around $100. And I can guarantee you, everybody in this room, that this is all you need for all your needs, computing needs, browsing internet, and things. The reason for it is that most of the applications are moving in the cloud. There are Chrome plugins available that basically replace any software that you might want to install on a computer. Now, there is a need for programs that are in larger computers with more RAM. For professional environments. So it's sort of like when you are a landscaper, you might want to buy a tractor. But if you're not a landscaper, you might want to just buy a commuter car, and that's you know, kind of a 4-door sedan, and that's enough for you. You don't need a race car if you're not a race driver. So I would encourage you to just check those out. This is $100. There is a Chrome box this size. That's about $200. There are great Chromebooks, what they call them. This Chromebook HP is about $200. And I can guarantee you, if you start using one, this is all you need. In fact, you know, I'm a great Mac proponent and a MacBook, and I found myself for most of the things other than professional stuff, I was using Chrome browser, and so you know, buying $2,000 Mac, it does not make sense anymore. Buy something small and then go from there. So here's my talk. There's many other hacks that you can do with Google Docs. What I wanted to show you is how easy it is to share information and then connect your family online with this platform. So thank you very much.